It's been a while, and it's been a lot of comics. Hello, and welcome to another episode of Fun Comic Book. I'm the Fun Comic Book Guy, and today we are going to be doing our weekly review of comics. Although it's not just a weekly review, it's a 2-week review. Last week I wasn't able to get a video up. There was a lot of comics to read, and by the time I was able to get a video ready, it would have already been Wednesday. So I figured, let me just do them all together. The week of, I believe it was March 9th, and the pull list from March 16th, 2022. So I'm going to review those together. The ones from March 9th, there was a lot of comics, so I'm going to go through those pretty quickly. And then I will then get a little bit into a little more detail on the March 16th books, which of course there are fewer on the pull list. A couple of things. One, if you just want to jump to the March 16th pull list, you can do so by looking in the description below. I will have the timestamp for when I'm going to start talking about the March 16th. Also, spoilers. There will be spoilers in this review. I try not to give out too many big spoilers, especially the big cliffhanger items. So I'll try not to do that, but there will be some plot points and things that if you don't want to hear them, be warned. All right, with that, let's get started. All right, so the first book is actually a book that I missed from the pull list of March 2nd, and that is Avengers Forever, number 3. This is continuing the story around Robbie Reyes being captured by the Black Skull and his torture, and Ant-Man, also known as Tony Stark in this universe, finally comes to free him, using, of course, the other Avengers that are there. Although I don't really recall if they're calling themselves Avengers quite yet. Really cool. The Infinity thing was awesome. This book, had I been able to get it on the 2nd, would have definitely been a contender for pick of the week. The interesting thing is that Robbie now he's got to go up against Black Skull, and he does. And it's pretty amazing as how he goes up against Black Skull and the symbiote that is occupying the former Red Skull. Of course, we do have more issues to come, so not everything is all good at the end of this. Excellent book. If you're not reading Avengers Forever, I do recommend it. And now we're going to get into the March 9th books. And first we're going to start out with Superman, Son of Kal-El, number, are we up to 7? Oh, 9. This was, I guess, part 2 of a story between Jonathan and Nightwing. It was okay. It's still continuing on, finding out that Bendix is having his own warped machinations, experiments out there, and is ready to kill them if needed. And it's really playing havoc with Jonathan Kent coming to terms with the fact that he's a hero. Overall, it was okay. It was a little bit on the boring side. The first couple of issues of this series were really solid, and now I think it's kind of meandering a little bit. I'd like to see a little bit more plot points and everything, but I do understand this was part 2 of a storyline, of which I did not read part 1. Overall, I'd probably give this a good, solid C+. Okay comic. Agent Carter, number 1. I was really looking forward to this. I really did like the What If series with Agent Carter. I thought she was a fantastic character. Really came into her own, and I believe this is filling in some of the storyline between when she is found in the Arctic and how she comes to terms with her current state in the future. The book itself was very well done, well written. Art was great. The one thing I would have to say is that it had a very slow middle portion where she's, trying just to meander through the modern day and what her home life is like, and her, making friends with other people. And it really didn't come until towards the end where she was actually getting back into action. So for that, I'm really hoping that this series does take off. It is a limited series, but the first one was just a little again on the boring side. I'd give this B minus, but still, it could have used a little bit more action in there. Next up, we have Crimson Ray #3. This is a Star Wars miniseries. This is probably the middle book in this whole trilogy of stories. This book was excellent in the sense that it was a great story, had great art. Kira finds someone who used to be a Jedi and Sith, I guess, archaeologist, person who was very interested in artifacts, and she feels that she can get this person to, find Yoda. I'm not going to give away the ending as to what happens. It was a really good story, really good idea. It, to me, did not really progress the whole Crimson Reign storyline, and that's the weird thing. This would have been an excellent one-off book, almost maybe a miniseries, maybe even just a 1 to 3 parter. So yeah, it was a bit weird. It's almost like one of those books where you're thinking, I really like this. This might be a pick of the week, but like it doesn't sit right with the rest of the series. So overall, solid B, maybe B plus. If you're not reading the series, I do recommend picking it up. I actually think it's quite good, but you may also want to just wait for trade. Little Monsters #1 from Image Comics. This is a story of, again, a post-apocalyptic future where there's a lot of kids running around and you're wondering what's going on. You're introduced to a whole cast of characters who, again, have an elder or father, apparently, but you're trying to figure out until you realize, oh, they're vampires. Spoiler alert. Real good comic. This was definitely a contender for pick of the week. Pacing was good. The interest in each one of the characters as they're being set up, it was great. You're definitely getting a sense for who the different personalities are. I give this book a minus. Didn't quite meet pick of the week, but was a definite contender. King of Spies #5. This Mark Millar series comes to an end in this issue where Roland is going to finally come to terms with some sort of finality. It opens up with where he was left off, being attacked by people that he had wronged in the past, and it was a pretty bloody, gory first set of pages, and then it got into a very sentimental review of life and what he has to do next. The ending was explosive. It was very much like a Mark Millar ending. He was just always upping the ante, but it just seemed a little too quick, and I wasn't quite sure what the actual point was the more I thought about it. So it had, again, a little bit, again, a lull in the middle, and then it had a great climactic scene, and then it kind of just felt like it ended, and that was it. So the series I thought was good. Solid B plus. This book, the last book is itself, I'd probably give a B. So good series. Spawn number 327, as you can see here, the Violator does make an appearance in this. There were a couple of, you know, what is Spawn trying to do? Who is he trying to, what are his goals in the end? Haunt is in here. Haunt needs hears about these gates that Spawn could theoretically, he feels open, but Spawn, indicates that he does want to open up portals to heaven or hell, because again, then the wars begin and they will trounce over humanity. So, overall, pretty decent book. Again, every issue, it kind of feels like, are we starting off from where we left off, or is this a new story? It does have a very interesting end, so I do want to see what they do with the story going forward. So, in terms of grade, another B book. Future State Gotham, number 11. This is the new Joker, continues to rampage through Future State Gotham. I didn't feel like a lot happened in the book. It's been over a week since I read it, but nothing stayed with me. And I think after reading it, I do remember saying there was some more action. There was trying to, there was identifying the fact that they may know where to find Bruce. Dick Grayson is still, working with Talia to find her son. So again, after all those things, there was some really interesting parts of them, but the things that I wanted to see more of, like this new Joker, I really didn't. So again, hate to sound consistent, but this I would probably give a B minus, B-2 on that. So another B-ish book. Amazing Spider-Man number 92. We're getting close to the end of the Beyond storyline. Here, they go up against Monster Z, which is a Killer Croc-esque type monster. Peter, Colleen, and Misty are, fighting him, as well as other atrocities that Beyond is creating. And pretty good action scenes. Morbius, who I'm not a huge fan of, makes his, of course, appearance, because again, he has been playing a role in the storyline. Not giving too much away. Again, overall, it's another B book. The artwork I thought was actually quite good. I thought the action and the pacing was nice. Again, it's just working to some sort of conclusion. So again, gave it a solid B, maybe even a B+. Thor number 23, the end of the God of Hammers storyline. Thor has started to come to terms with what has happened since the last issue, and finally go up against Mjolnir. And it's a pretty epic battle, and it does change Thor. This is, I think, a very important issue. Next issue is, of course, 750, which is going to elaborate on that. But this was, I think, a critical point, and he really now, I feel, is the king of Asgard. So this storyline, again, it did conclude, but it almost felt like an epilogue. Even though it does conclude everything, I still got the feeling that it was an epilogue, because again, one of the biggest changes that does happen in the last issue. So again, they're still killing with Thor. A-. X Lives of Wolverine number 4. What can I say? Benjamin Percy has finally started to anneal the X Deaths and X Lives of Wolverine together. And in this one, we do see where he is starting to lose the battle against Omega Red, and finally, revealing that Mikhail Rasputin is, the big baddie that is trying to orchestrate the destruction of Xavier. So, not giving too much away if you haven't. I don't want to give too much away as to what happens at the end here, but overall, good book. B plus. X Deaths of Wolverine. We do see, of course, we do continue through the Moira storyline, and finding out a bit more as to who this Logan from the future is, and rampaging in the streets and just causing havoc and going after Moira. It's pretty intense, and uh, I don't want to even tell too much about this book because I think a lot of it's going to get resolved, of course, next week in the X Deaths of Wolverine #5. I had a big problem with this book with the naming of it. I still kind of do, but other than that, the story was pretty good. Again, another solid B plus book. And here we go. Punisher #1. Not the pick of the week, but almost became the pick of the week. Read through this book, heard about some of the hype around the changing of the Punisher logo, and I didn't care about it, really. The story opens up. If you have never read Punisher, you can get started with this. You can learn about where Frank Castle has come from, what he's dealt with, and how he has now become a servant of the hand. It is incredibly brutal. I actually, going through this, had to stop and go back to the beginning of the cover and to read to say, okay, what's this rated? Because this is for a Marvel book. This is pretty bloody. I haven't seen stuff like this in a while. And of course, there's a huge reveal at the end as to how he managed to, stay with the hand. And it is something that changes things a whole lot for Frank Castle. So I actually thought it was pretty good. There's not a huge amount of dialogue, to be honest. There's a lot of action and violence. And it was just, I think it was just an interesting read. I do want to see where this is going. B plus, A minus. But the pick of the week from last week was Devil's Reign #5 of 6. Here, Prison Breakout. Thunderbolts versus Avengers. Or Avengeresques. And a murder at the end, which was alluded to in Daredevil Woman Without Fear #3, without giving too much away. Yeah, oh, and of course, massive mind control. All those things come together in this. This is another one of those where you know that the last issue is going to be explosive, and more than likely there's going to be a huge number of game changers, I hope. So at least it's not being left up to, oh, we're kind of resolved here and now issue 6 is going to be an epilogue. No, they got a lot to fix in issue 6. Pick of the week, an A book. Great story. All right, and now we're going to get into the March 16th comics, of which there are probably half of what I had for the week prior. So let's start with #1 from Image Comics, Slumber. If you like Inception and Monsters, Inc., you'll love this book. That's the way I feel about it. It's very much like that. In fact, a lot of the elements almost combine the two movies. Well, yeah, they're both movies, but the two ideas together. People going in and basically killing your nightmares. The ideas themselves, as you just saw, are not too original, but the characters are quite interesting, and I'm wondering, like, there's got to be huge backstory to this. So, I don't know what to quite make of it yet. I am probably going to pick up issue 2, and I thought this book was actually quite good. A minus, quite good. If you like some of what I just said, if you like those two movies, pick this up. Star Wars Halcyon Legacy #2. which, as you can see from the cover, is talking about yet another story as the pirates, which look to be on a literal pirate ship almost in space, are going to board the Star Cruiser, and we get another story, which includes Aura Singh and oh gosh, I even forgot the other bounty hunter's name. I'll maybe try to put it down in the image below, but overall, it just wasn't good. It was written. It feels like it was written for, I mean, little kids. It was, I don't know, like there were things in it that just you didn't have to write in. Oh, we have to go planet side. We have to be back up in 10 minutes. Why did you have to do that? Like as I'm reading it, going, you don't have to do those things. You're the writer. You can put it in for an hour. Overall, I was very disappointed in this book. You took some very interesting characters, and essentially it was just another, little quick story on this ship. I only got this book only because it still was in my pull list, but I have since asked for it to be removed. This is the first time on this channel, I'm gonna give something a D, but I'm gonna give it a D. Next up, X Lives Wolverine number 5, last book in this part of the series, so there's still one more book to go. We do see the resolution here of Wolverine against Omega Red, and indirectly, of course, with Mikhail Rasputin, who abandons Omega Red in the middle of the book, and probably has his own things that he's going to be doing to the X-Men later on. I thought that at the end of the day, this series worked. It did provide some resolution. It gave a little bit more introspection into Wolverine that I hadn't seen before. Definitely not from Old Man Logan. Definitely not even from Origins. This was Wolverine looking back on his life. I think in a way that I, hadn't seen before. Really good book. Almost became pick of the week, but didn't quite make it. I'd give this an A-. What's the furthest place from here? Number 5. Continues to be an excellent book. Always is keeping me intrigued. What's happening next? What are more mysteries keep coming out of this? They're still at the carnival, and there are a couple of incidents that happen. One includes the theft at the carnival, which then results in a death. That was pretty intense. I didn't think that was going to quite go that route. And there's still also the question as to where is Sid, and what visions, I forgot what the character's name is right now, is he receiving? Is this real, or is this prophecy? What's going on? And who are the strangers? Again, I love this series. Didn't make pick of the week just by a little bit, but definitely an A- grade for this book. SpiderMan 92, Dot Beyond, Bay, whatever you want to call it. I'm going to do a video on things that Marvel and DC are doing now that I don't really like, and this is definitely one of them, with these dot numbers, especially on Amazing Spider-Man. This was not anywhere Spider-Man, as other of these dot books have done before, but that doesn't mean it should be under Amazing Spider-Man. This was better served as a book that was just a Beyond story. It's not a bad story, actually. It starts with Colleen and Misty, but then it turns into a Monica Rambeau story as she's going up against Beyond. And I thought that's a really good idea. But it doesn't work as in this context. It's just working because it's just part of things that are going on with Beyond as Spider-Man is going up against Beyond. Um, it's a long book, and I really, the story with, the monster Z and what happens with Mobius probably gets finished very quickly. Then it goes to the Monica Rambeau with Aaron's story, which actually was kind of good. Some of the some of the dialogues during the action, you do have to, suspend your disbelief about what people can and can't say during a battle like that. But overall, it was okay. It reintroduced me to some characters that I hadn't been reading in a while, and there are two epilogues. One of them, I think, is more interesting than the other. Overall, I give this a B minus. I mean, I would give it a lower grade because I don't think that this type of book should exist in the way that it is formatted. But I don't want. I think that the artists and the writers should be given credit for producing a story that they were asked. So, B minus, maybe C plus. But the pick of the week goes to Avengers number 54. This actually, I didn't realize that this was going to conclude this first arc around Doom and his minions attacking the 616 universe. And there are things at stake in this book. There are elements of how is this going to get resolved? How are they going to get out of this mess? And are they just going to walk away from it the same? There's definitely a change for Thor. I don't know when this is technically supposed to take place, but it does change Thor. Something else is going to be happening with Thor. I don't want to give too much away on that. And of course, we know by this time Robbie's still not back. He's still in Avengers Forever. But this was keeping me glued page by page by page. It was excellent. And Mephisto does return, and there's some changes in the Doom there and Mephisto. And I don't know what the whole, Judgment is coming, Judgment Day is coming, or how much that's going to play, but into what we just saw. But it should. Gave this book an A minus, pick of the week for the week, and looking forward to seeing more of the Avengers in coming books. And that does it for our review. Thank you for taking double the time to watch me review these books. If you have comments of your own on the books I reviewed, or books I even didn't review, leave them in the comment section below. As always, if you did like what you see, please consider subscribing and definitely hitting that like button. Thank you for watching, and I will see you again.